हरि करना।
Now let's move on to the understanding statistical significance and p-values and few more concepts which are related to that. So let's take what is statistical significance first. So statistical significance is how statisticians measure whether an experiment yields a result more extreme than what chance might produce. If the result is beyond the realm of chance variation, it's said to be statistically significant. So, statistical significance is a measure of the likelihood that an observed effect or a difference between groups is not due to chance. So, it is typically assessed using p value, so which is a measure of the probability of obtaining a test statistic as extreme as or more extreme than observed statistic, assuming the null hypothesis is true. So that's what is a statistical significance. So statistical significance is nothing but a measure of likelihood that an observed effect or a difference between groups is not due to chance. That's what a statistical significance tells. It will say whether the observed effect or difference between group is significant or insignificant. Very simple. They will decide, they will measure the likelihood. They will measure the likelihood and they'll tell whether it is significant or insignificant. If it is significant, how much significant it is. If it is insignificant, how much insignificant it is. That's what we call it as statistical significance. So the p-value is often used as a threshold for determining statistical significance. A p-value less than or equal to, let me put it down here. So this one is statistical significance and p-value. So the statistical significance is a measure of likelihood that an observed effect is not due to chance. Okay, now so the p-value is often used as a threshold for determining determining the statistical significance. P-value is used as a threshold to determine the statistical significance. Example, we can take a p-value which is less than or equal to pre-specified significance level. So pre-specified significance level, so normally we take up 0.05. so this is normally we take it. So when p-value which is lesser than or equal to specified significance level 0.05 is considered to be statistically significant. If this condition matches, we consider this as statistically significant. Okay, so the observed indicating that the observed effect is unlikely to have occurred by chance. Okay, so this is what. However, it's important to note that statistical significance does not necessarily imply practical or clinical significance. A statistically significant result may not be meaningful or important in the context of the research question or the real world application. So, additionally, statistical significance does not guarantee the absence of confounding or other sources bias in the study design or data collection. So, therefore, it's important to consider the context of the research question and the implications of the result beyond statistical significance. So, it's also important to interpret p values in conjunction with other measures of effect size and confidence interval to gain a more complete understanding of the results. So, finally, it's important to remember that statistical significance is not a guarantee of truth. Very, very important point to be noted. Statistical significance is not a guarantee of truth or accuracy. It's simply a measure of the likelihood of obtaining a result as extreme as or more extreme than the observed result. So, assuming the null hypothesis is true. Therefore, it's important to use statistical significance as part of a larger framework of scientific inquiry, including replication, peer review, and critical evaluation of the study design data and data collection. So that's what is our statistical significance and p-value. So if you want to see one example, we can have one example, no issue at all. So example, suppose we want to test whether a new drug, so we want to test whether a new drug is effective in reducing blood pressure. So that's what we want to do. So for that, obviously, what will we do? The step one is we will randomly sample, randomly assign 100 participants to receive the new drug or a place or a placebo for a period of 4 weeks and measure their blood pressure. Measure their blood pressure before and after the treatment. So that's what the step one. So now we perform this time the two sample t-test to compare the mean change in blood pressure between the treatment and control groups. So the observed test statistic is minus 2.45. So step 2, we used performed a two sample t-test, and then the observed test statistics are observed test statistics for treatment groups is blood pressure minus 2.45, and for the control group it is 0 point, it's okay, the observed test statistics, the mean change. Okay, I'm just taking the mean change. So the mean change between the mean change between, just a minute, the mean change between treatment groups and control group is 2.45. That's it. So that's what we got now, and the corresponding p-value is 0.016. Now in this case, the p-value is lesser than, in this case p-value is lesser than the commonly used significance level of 0.05. So commonly used significance level is 0.05. It's called SOSL, significance level is 0.05. It's lesser than, our p-value is lesser than that, indicating that the observed effect is statistically significant. The observed effect is statistically significant. So this means that it is unlikely that the observed difference in mean change in blood pressure between the treatment and control groups occurred by chance, assuming the null hypothesis of no difference between the groups is true. So however, it's important to also consider the effect size and practical significance of the results. So in this example, although the effect is statistically significant, the actual mean difference in blood pressure between the treatment and control groups may be small, and the clinical significance of this effect may be limited. Therefore, it's important to consider the results in the context of the research question and the implications of the patient care.